So these are the top 10 tips on completing Geog2010 practicals. First one, don't blame yourself. If it doesn't work, if you can't get the practicals to work, it doesn't mean you're stupid. That's an error a lot of students seem to make. Try and remain calm. Being cross at the computer just isn't helping. And just try and relax. And the next tip is what to do. So if it does go wrong, go back a step and check you read it correctly. This is more helpful than actually just going back and repeating it again, because you may see what you did wrong more easily by just reading it rather than trying to actually do it. If you don't actually find an obvious read, go back and repeat it, and that may help, but you should read it first. Repeat the last process, I mean pick the last few steps, the last step, depending on the context, and repeat that. Then go ahead and check the FAQs on Blackboard, and if you still can't find out what went wrong and why it isn't working, then it's time to ask us on the forums. Self-assessment questions. As you go through the practicals, there's buttons that say click for answer, and they ask you questions to think about for yourself. Now, I always say that doing these, if you walk around a house in running shoes without going for a run, you're not getting fitter, you're not getting any benefit out of it. It's the same with these. The questions are there to make you think about what you're doing. It's quite possible to just do the practicals and learn absolutely nothing. So you've got to do these questions to actually learn about what's going on. Learning equals doing. It's like trying to drive a car. You've got to do it to actually learn it. So when you come to one of these, I advise you to get the best out of them. Try and scribble an idea on paper. So answer the question on paper before clicking the button and seeing the answer. Or you can discuss it with a friend and try and find out an answer between the two of you. But don't skip doing the question properly, is what I'm saying. Fourth tip, Control Tab. On a Windows machine, pressing Control and holding Control down, and then pressing and release the Tab key flips you from Windows to Windows. So the idea with this is you're looking at the instructions in a browser and you're going to flip to whatever program we're asking you to manipulate by using Control and Tab, and that'll save you loads of clicking. PC availability. PCs on campus get very busy in the middle of the day, so we advise you to go early or late. How to ask for help. If your house is on fire and you phone 999, they're going to ask you where, what and who questions. Just shouting help, 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 my house is on fire is not going to help. It's not going to get you sorted out. With tech questions that you want to ask us because things aren't going correctly, it's the same sort of story. What we need to know is which practical, which number, and what topic you're talking about. We want to know exactly what has gone wrong. So which button did you press? What error message did it come up with? That sort of thing. In as much detail as you can tell us, what did you do? And we'd like you to also to tell us what you've already done to try and solve the problem. So there's some obvious answers usually to any question. You should be able to guess what those are and have a go at them yourself. And we prefer you to do that obviously before you approach us. We also want to know what system you've been using. So is it PC, is it Mac, is it in the computer room on campus, is it at home? What we don't need to hear from you is how upsetting it is, or anything with explanations in capital letters going help. We know how upsetting it is to get stuck on stuff. We have got stuck on GIS stuff, believe you us. So don't worry about that. Don't waste space in your forum message putting that. So here's an example forum post trying to get help solving a problem. Title of the forum post, digital data processing, so that's the kind of area it's discussing, and then specific information about practical 3, step 24. And the main message is there, so there's information about what system it is. You'll see there's specific stuff about the error and telling us exactly where the error occurred, and then what about what you did about it. and that's the most helpful information you can give us. And if you put a forum post up like that, we can solve your problem as quickly as possible. Okay, 7th tip, slow but sure. Nobody ever likes instructions. Everyone would just like to dive in and do stuff. I'm afraid with GIS that just doesn't happen. You can't get GIS to work without following instructions. It's much better to avoid mistakes than trying to correct them. It's very difficult to undo mistakes once they've been made. So the tip here is go steadily and sure, and like the proverbial turtle instead of the hare, you may well win out. Related to this, pace yourself. It's much easier if you avoid mistakes, as I've just said, and you'll make mistakes if you're tired. So I'd give yourself a break, not go on with doing these sort of practicals more than an hour without getting up, walking away from the computer. That really helps. Work in groups. It really helps to work in groups on practicals like this. I suggest you have one person per computer, and it's good to pair up non-techs with techie people. So if you know what you're doing, it actually helps to pair up with a non-techie person, because explaining things to them actually helps you learn the topic yourself. It's surprising, but that does happen. And people in groups generally support each other, and there's more eyes trying to work out things when it goes wrong. Final one, enjoy. We think you're going to find the practicals interesting and useful.